She cheated on me. So I took my revenge on her and her lover. My name is Adam. I'm 32. I used to have what I thought was a perfect family. My wife, Olivia, and our little daughter, Emily. I worked as an engineer. We didn't have much money, but we lived steadily. I loved my family more than anything. But one ordinary Friday, my life shattered. I was coming home from work a little earlier than usual. I wanted to surprise Olivia. I had bought her favorite tulips and a bottle of wine. I walked into our apartment building, took the elevator up to the 5th floor, and was about to insert my key when I heard laughter. Male laughter. Inside our apartment. I froze. My heart started racing. At first, I thought it was the TV. But no. Through the door, I could hear voices. Her voice. His voice. And then it hit me like electricity. I realized. I opened the door sharply. There stood my wife in a robe, and from the kitchen, my childhood friend, Ian, was coming out. He hadn't even buttoned his shirt. In that moment, everything went dark in my eyes. I felt the ground slip beneath me. Adam, she began, but I didn't let her finish. I just threw the flowers on the floor, the wine bottle shattered. I turned and walked out. The first 2 days after that, I don't remember them at all. I wandered around the city, sat in the park, stared at my phone, but saw nothing. My mom called, my friends called, my coworkers called. I didn't answer. There was only one image in my mind, her laughing, and another man beside her. Betrayal isn't just a stab in the back. It's the feeling that your entire life has been a lie. I didn't want to see Olivia, didn't want to talk to her. But on the 3rd day, I remembered, we have a daughter. She hadn't done anything wrong. I gathered my strength and went home. The apartment was quiet. Olivia sat in the kitchen, her eyes red from crying. Emily was sleeping in her room. Adam, it's my fault. I ruined everything. Please forgive me. I swear, it was a mistake, she said, her voice trembling. I stared at her in silence. Inside me, a storm raged. On one side, I wanted to scream, smash something, throw her out forever. On the other, I saw our child. I said only one thing. We'll talk. But not now. The following weeks, I lived like I was on autopilot. I worked, picked up Emily from preschool, but my thoughts constantly returned to that scene. And the longer I stayed silent, the more another thought grew inside me. Revenge. Not yelling, not arguing, not divorce. No. She had to feel the same pain I felt. She had to lose everything, just like I lost trust in her. I began planning. The first thing I did was reconnect with my old college friend, Victor. He worked in private business, had wide connections, and knew how to dig up information. I told him the story. He listened silently and said, "Man, if you want to turn this around, you have to play it cold. Don't act rashly. You want revenge? Fine. But make it so she never gets back up from this." His words stuck with me. I started gathering information on Ian. It turned out he had serious financial problems, debts, loans, a car lease he couldn't pay. Olivia, my wife, didn't even realize she had gotten involved with someone who was about to sink. I decided I would use that, but I was most interested in her. Her weak spots, her secrets, her dreams. And I found something very interesting. Those days, I realized for the first time that pain could be a driving force. Sitting alone at night, scrolling through pictures of our family while imagining Olivia in Ian's arms, a plan started to form. Not chaotic, not emotional. Clear. Logical. I decided to play the long game. Victor was helping me. He knew human weaknesses well. One evening, we were sitting in his garage, where he kept his SUV and a pile of tools. Victor opened a beer, set his laptop on the workbench, and said, "Look, Ian's in deep trouble right now. He owes money to 3 different collectors. One of them, by the way, already involved lawyers. That means the pressure on him is about to get real." "And what do you suggest?" I asked. "We'll just help speed things up a bit." His smile was cold. For a moment, I wondered if I was going too far. But then I remembered Olivia's eyes the moment I caught her with him, and the doubt vanished. A few days later, I made my first move. Unexpected, but effective. I came home from work as if nothing had happened. I brought a cake. "Let's have dinner together," I told Olivia. She was surprised. She thought I was still too angry to even look at her. But I was smiling calm. My unexpected behavior threw her off completely. During dinner, I gently patted Emily on the head and looked at Olivia. "You know, I've been thinking a lot. I want to keep our family together." Tears appeared in her eyes. She ran to hug me. Inside, I was smiling. Because this was only part of the plan. Over the next weeks, I was the perfect husband. I bought flowers, cooked dinners, spent time with Emily. Olivia relaxed. She started to believe I had forgiven her, that I had accepted her mistake. Meanwhile, I was working on something else. Victor contacted one of Ian's creditors and fed them information that made the pressure even harsher. I knew Ian would panic soon. And when a man panics, he makes mistakes. Ian called Olivia. I could see it because we shared an iCloud account, and all calls showed up for me too. At first, she didn't answer. But one evening, she stepped out onto the balcony for some fresh air. I heard her whisper into the phone, "Ian, don't call here. Everything's under control. We can't meet right now." I barely contained a smile, because I knew that very prohibition would pull her toward him even more. And that was exactly what I planned to use. One evening, when Olivia went out to the store, I took her phone. I found their chat. Everything was there, from romantic emojis to explicit photos. My blood boiled, but I forced myself to stay cold. I didn't delete anything. On the contrary, I saved copies. Perfect evidence for the future. Then I made a move that even felt strange to me. I wrote to Ian. From my number. Openly. "Want to meet? I have a proposal." He replied instantly. "Are you insane? Why are you texting me?" I wrote, "We'll meet. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Cafe near the station. It's in your best interest." I knew he would come. People who are sinking grasp at any straw. Meeting Ian felt like a movie scene. He was sitting in the corner of the cafe, nervously spinning his coffee cup. When I approached, he looked away. "Well, speak," he mumbled. I sat across from him calmly and said, "Listen carefully. I know everything about you. Your debts, your games with my wife. But I'm not here to fight or cause a scandal. I'm interested in something else." He frowned. "What do you want?" I leaned closer. "I want you to play by my rules. If you obey, you might even win. If not, I'll make sure you lose not only Olivia, but your freedom too." He went pale. And in that moment, I knew. He was in my hands. When I came home that evening, Olivia was already waiting. She noticed I was late. "Where were you?" she asked. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "At work." She nodded, but something in my eyes made her uneasy. And I thought, just a little longer, and you'll start getting lost in your own fears. Because the real revenge hadn't even begun yet. After meeting Ian, I felt something for the first time in a long while. A strange sense of power. Not over life or death, but over the person who had once taken the most precious thing from me. Now he was in my hands. My first order was simple. "You don't call or text Olivia anymore," I said. "She calls me first," he tried to argue. "All the more reason. If she writes, you respond coldly, dryly, without emotion. I want her to feel the distance." At first, he resisted. But when I laid out the printouts of his loan agreements Victor had gotten from the bank, Ian understood. I was serious. I saw his hands tremble. "If you betray me, believe me, your problems are just beginning," I whispered. The results were immediate. Olivia started getting nervous. She sat on the couch, staring at her phone, sending him message after message, only to receive short replies. "Busy, can't talk, later." She grew pale, bit her lips, got angry. I sat beside her pretending to read a book, enjoying every moment of her frustration. Once, she snapped at me. "Do you even feel anything? It's like I'm living in a vacuum." I calmly looked at her and said, "Maybe the problem isn't me?" Tears welled in her eyes. And at that moment, I realized my plan was working. Then I went deeper. Ian was weak, and the weak are easy to manipulate. I arranged for him to meet another woman. Victor introduced him to a girl named Kate, clever, cunning, perfect for the role of a temptress. My task was simple. Make sure Olivia found out Ian already had someone else. A week later, photos appeared on her phone. Unknown number. Ian and Kate in a cafe. Ian kissing her by the car. Olivia turned pale when she saw them. She locked herself in the bathroom for a long time. When she finally came out, her hands were shaking. I calmly asked, "Everything okay?" She shot me a look full of anger and despair. "You have no idea how much this hurts." I barely held back a smile. Really, I had no idea. But the real blow I saved for later. One evening, I approached her quietly. "You know, I found something." I placed a USB drive on the table. Copies of her messages and photos to Ian. She froze. "Adam, You saw all this. I nodded. Yes. A long time ago. She collapsed into tears, begging me not to show anyone. I just stared at her coldly and said, that depends on you. In those days, I felt myself changing. The sense of power, control over the situation, her fear, and his submission, it was intoxicating. But there was one moment I hadn't expected. One evening, while putting Emily to bed, she suddenly hugged me around the neck and whispered, Daddy, you're the best. I love you more than anything in the world. I felt my chest tighten. At that moment, I realized I was building a plan for revenge, but in this game, the one person completely innocent could get hurt. Emily. And for the first time, doubt crept in. Was I really doing the right thing? But the doubt lasted only a moment. The next day, I got a call that changed everything. It was Ian. His voice was trembling. Adam, something's happening. You need to know. Olivia, she wasn't just cheating. She was planning to leave you for good. And that's not all. I froze. Speak. I snapped. He exhaled sharply. She's been gathering documents for a while. She wanted to take Emily with her. In that moment, my vision went dark. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was war. When I heard Ian's words, a cold rage swept over me. Take Emily? From me? This wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was a punch to the heart. Are you sure about what you're saying? I ground my teeth. Yes. I saw the copies of her documents. She's been consulting a lawyer. She wanted to file for divorce and take Emily, he said quietly. I hung up and sat in the dark for a long time. Only 2 words circled in my mind. Not happening. The next day, I started moving. I contacted a lawyer Victor had recommended. His name was Daniel. Young, sharp, knew the law better than the old hands. We sat in his office, and I laid out everything I knew. The affair, her plans, the documents. Daniel listened carefully, then removed his glasses and said, Listen, you have strong cards. Texts, photos, proof of the affair. In court, that can be a decisive argument. Handle it right, and she won't take the child. I exhaled, but he added, one thing, be ready for the dirt. If she goes all the way, she'll throw everything she can at you. I understood, the war had begun. At home, I played the role of the caring husband. I smiled, cooked dinners, told Emily bedtime stories. But I was watching Olivia closely. She disappeared into the bedroom with her phone more often, hid documents in drawers. Thought I didn't notice, but I noticed everything. One day, while she was in the shower, I quickly photographed her folder. Notes from a lawyer consultation. At the top, in black and white. Termination of parental rights, if necessary. I felt my chest tighten. She was ready to destroy me completely. That evening, I made a move that would finally shift the game in my favor. I spoke to her calmly about our future. Olivia, I began, we both know what happened. I need to understand. Are you planning to leave? She flinched. Why are you asking? Because I see you pulling away. And if you plan to leave, it's better to be honest about it. She stayed silent for a long moment, then whispered, I don't know. Maybe it's better for everyone. I nodded. Understood. Inside, I was screaming. But on the outside, I remained stone-faced. Now I knew exactly who my opponent was. I decided to act preemptively. A week later, Victor and I orchestrated a meeting, a trap. We made sure Olivia would accidentally see Ian with Kate, but this time, live, not just in photos. I suggested a trip to the mall. There, in a cafe, sat Ian with Kate, laughing, holding her hand. Olivia's face, it was worth the entire plan. She went pale, eyes wide, hands trembling. What is this? She whispered. I feigned surprise. Looks like he's moved on. She ran from the cafe, while I calmly finished my coffee. Inside, I felt triumph. But that evening, everything changed. Olivia came home different. Not crying, not yelling. Silent. She walked up to me quietly and said, If you think you've won, you're wrong. I looked into her eyes. No guilt there anymore. Only cold. And at that moment, I realized, now she was willing to do anything. The next day, my neighbor called. Adam, I accidentally saw some people at your place with folders. Looked like social services. I felt a chill. She had made the first move. The war for Emily had begun. The visit from Child Protective Services was a cold shock. 2 women in sharp suits walked through the apartment, carefully inspecting each room, taking notes. This is a standard check, one of them said. We received an anonymous tip. I knew exactly who that anonymous tip was from. Emily played in the corner with her dolls, unaware that her entire future was being decided around her. When they left, I sank onto the couch, clenching my fists. She wants to take my daughter through the court? Fine. Let's play like adults. Daniel, my lawyer, immediately prepared a response. We gathered all the evidence, photos, texts, call logs, everything showing Olivia's true face. She wants dirt? We'll give her dirt, he said coldly. The court date was set for the end of the month. Until then, I had to stay calm and keep Emily away from all this hell. But Olivia wasn't sitting idle either. She started telling neighbors and friends that I was aggressive, controlling, dangerous. I learned about this from Victor. She's building a victim image, he said. But you have your trump cards. Play them at the right moment. The day of the trial arrived. I sat in the courtroom next to Daniel. Across from us, Olivia with her attorney. She looked confident, even threw me a challenging glance. The judge called the hearing to order. First, it was her turn. I want custody of my daughter because her father is unable to provide proper care, she began. He is aggressive, manipulative. I fear for the child's future. I clenched my fists under the table. When it was my turn, I stood and spoke calmly. Your Honor, I have evidence that my wife not only cheated on me, but tried to hide her relationship with another man. These are not my words. These are facts. I handed over a USB with all the materials, texts, photos, voice recordings. The room fell silent. The judge opened several files, and even Olivia's attorney's face changed. She turned pale. This isn't true. It's all staged. She shouted. Then explain why all these messages are from your number? I asked coldly. Her voice faltered. She began stumbling over her words. Everyone saw it. Her victim mask had fallen away. But I saved the final blow for last. Your Honor, may we call a witness? Daniel said. The doors opened, and Ian walked into the courtroom. He looked worn but resolute. Yes, I was with Olivia, he said. But I want to be honest. She planned to destroy the family. She told me she intended to take the child and ruin her husband. I no longer want to be part of this game. His words were the final strike. Olivia covered her face with her hands and started crying. The judge paused, then finally gave the ruling. Custody of the child remains with the father. When I walked out of the courthouse with Emily by my side, I felt relief. It was a victory. Not sweet, not celebratory, but a victory. Olivia stood off to the side, looking at me with a mix of hatred and despair. You ruined everything, she whispered. I stopped and replied, no, you ruined it. I just put the period at the end. That night, I couldn't sleep. I watched Emily sleep and thought, I won the fight. But did I win myself? Revenge gave me control, power, victory. But inside, there was emptiness. Because what we once had, family, trust, love, was gone forever. And maybe the greatest revenge for her wasn't the court or the evidence. It was that I would never again be the naive man who trusted her unconditionally. I lost her, but I kept what mattered most, my daughter. The rest no longer mattered.